Today's story is chapter 63. What it takes to turn defeat to victory. In war, sometimes an unexpected move can turn defeat into victory. In a surprise military attack, the commander seizes his chance and leads a relatively small number of men against a large enemy force. If the enemy commander stays cool and collected, the risk of failure is great, but if the tactic succeeds, the enemy forces will be routed, fleeing in disarray without putting up a fight. The 12th century general Minamoto Yoshitsune was a master of the surprise attack. With his brother Yoritomo, he defeated the rival Taira clan twice. First in 1184 at the Battle of Ichinotani, and then the next year at Yashima on the island of Shikoku. Finally, destroying them in 1185 at the Battle of Dan-no-ura. His battle tactics were breathtakingly reckless. At Ichinotani, his strategist remonstrated with him, saying, "The art of war knows no such rashness." But Yoshitsune turned a deaf ear and rode straight down a steep cliff, attacking the Taira camp from behind and putting the enemy to rout. At Dan-no-ura, he famously escaped by jumping from ship to ship, 8 in all, agilely dodging his pursuers. Even allowing for exaggeration, that is not how a military commander is supposed to behave. In the Battle of Midway, which turned the tide of World War II, the Japanese combined fleet had the advantage over the United States Pacific Fleet in both numbers and training. Why then did it suffer a disastrous defeat? Risk-taking by the American commanders was a decisive factor. Throughout the naval war, successful American surprise attacks contributed to victory. Admiral Chester Nimitz of the Battle of Midway, Rear Admiral Frank Fletcher of the Battle of the Coral Sea, Vice Admiral William Halsey of the Battle of the Santa Cruz Islands, and Admiral Raymond Spruance of the Battle of the Philippine Sea were all daredevils, not military experts trained to be prudent. Spruance and Halsey were actually looked down upon by those who went strictly by the book. Similarly, Japanese Admiral Togo Heihachiro, who clinched a great victory in the Russo-Japanese War, was until the war an undistinguished vice admiral, not a member of the military elite. Precisely because he was not a model student, he was able to execute a daring U-turn in the face of the oncoming Russian fleet, a move that led to Japan's decisive victory. Bright people who learn their lessons too well and always go by the book, afraid to try anything different, are not cut out to pull off a victory by surprise attack. Okay, that's today's story about the importance of surprise attack. In this book, there are a lot of stories about war and battlefields, because in our lives we are always having a fight with our quote-unquote enemy. For example, business is like a battle with a rival company, and the severity of business world is becoming more and more dog eat dog world. So if we are weak and vulnerable, that kind of business go bankrupt in the end. We have to fight and defeat our enemy in order to survive, and not only in business but also in sports or hobbies, or even our day-to-day lives. Uh, we have to fight with our enemy. Sometimes people have debate. Yeah, debate is a very thrilling kind of sports. It's the we have to use a lot our mind and wisdom, knowledge, strategy, and defeat the opponent. Actually, in the history of Buddhism, there were a lot of debates between two sides of or two schools of Buddhism, or between scholars of Buddhism. What is the true intention of the Buddha? They had debate over this, and all the debates were based on the scriptures. Yeah, so debate should be authentic. Their assertion should be authentic, true to the teaching. So all the statements should have been based on the sutras, Buddha's words. And then, yeah, it was very meaningful. Debate is very important. And also discussion about Buddhism, trying to find out whether our understanding is correct or not. So discussion is very important in Buddhism. Of course, in discussion, we don't try to defeat anybody. Yeah, it's a little different. But all in all, life itself is like a battle. And what do we fight against? Maybe sometimes it's against the reality of impermanence, or against our own blind passions, against our desire to slack off. And we have to defeat our own weakness, our weak nature. And then eventually we will achieve victory. And then, so it's I'm a little digressing. Yeah, surprise attack. So always going by the book is not such a good idea. Of course, we need to follow the authentic path, and there is a certain high road, right path. But sometimes, in order to achieve victory, yeah, we need to have a wisdom to apply a surprise attack. And that's about wisdom in Buddhism. Compassion alone is not enough. We need wisdom, like Buddha. Okay, that's, I think, what we can learn from today's story.